Welcome back, everyone, to Freaky Tales podcast on this Sunday evening. I want to thank everybody on the live chat, everybody who decided not to be on the live chat, everybody who subscribed, everybody who unsubscribed, everybody who didn't care to watch but are going to watch it tomorrow. Much love and respect to you guys. Thank you for making this episode possible. Now, we've been doing Freaky Tales now for a couple of years, and a lot of times, a lot of you guys request certain subjects. And a lot of times, I can't touch on them because I don't know all of it. You know, I can give you the research that I've done, but it's always better when you bring somebody in. So now we've talked freaky religions before. We talked about, freaky paranormal stories. We talked about freaky tales, and hopefully eventually we can get some freaky calls. So with that being said, I have someone here that was requested to be on here so we can talk about I want to say a popular subject, something that I've heard about since I've been a kid. And today we're going to find out all about it. So with that being said, I want to welcome Thanya, who's going to talk to us about Santeria.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you can make it. You know what? I want to give a shout out to Betty. I forgot your last name. I don't even know if that's even your real name on the Instagram, but she goes by Betty.
Yes.
Okay, Betty. So thank you for making the connection. I know you had heard some things on here that you had disagreed with, and you took it up with me, and you said, I want my madrina to come, you know what, and get things straight. So we are here. So thank you for making that possible.
Shout out to my hijada.
Yes. You know, before we get into Santeria, okay, I do want to say this. I've had a Satanist here before, okay, and growing up, Hollywood has always fed us. A Satanist is a guy that runs around butt naked, wearing a hoodie with the Baphomet pentagram in the back, dancing around a bonfire, and he sacrificed virgins or animals. Okay. When it comes to Santeria, we've been given a picture as well that, you guys, eat the chicken and then throw the chicken bones like if they're dice, and then throw puffs of smoke everywhere.
That's funny.
But it looks good in movies, you know?
The believers, right? Santeria, the believers. There you go.
So now, when you see that stuff on TV and knowing that you practice it, does that misrepresent what you believe? I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I think that now Santeria has become very trendy. So we're in a whole new era, right? So I have been, just like a little backstory, my mother has been a santera for 40 years. I was initiated into this religion. I received a ceremony called TALEZ, which was my initiation at 13 years old.
Okay. I
did the major ceremony, which is called crowning. I did it in 2000. So it's going to be 25 years next year. Okay. So I started very young. So I started this religion with my mother when it was not trendy. I even had friends in high school whose parents wouldn't let them talk to me because I was a santera. Because my mother always showed me not to hide who you are. You don't have to believe what I believe, but you have to respect my beliefs. Just like I'm going to respect anybody's beliefs. I think that there's the Hollywood depiction of Santeria is always us killing animals, killing babies, wearing white. We got our head covered. We're wearing 1,000 beaded necklaces, but you could see Scarface. There's santeros in Scarface. There's always something with santeros. But I'm a santera and I'm wearing like a teddy bear and I have on crosses. I believe in God. But it's just what sells. I think that when it comes to things, even now in our era of TikTok, it's whatever sells. You can go on TikTok right now. We can look at it. And there's 1,000 people pretending to be santeros. And really, the term santero means people who are already crowned, who have done a ceremony. That's a 7-day ceremony. Okay. That costs upwards of $10,000.
You got to pay?
Of course. Because there's animals that we sacrifice.
That is true.
Not one animal. There is animal sacrifice in my religion. So we sacrifice animals in our religion. We are taught how to sacrifice animals so the animal doesn't suffer. Not everyone can sacrifice an animal. Just because you're a santero doesn't mean that you can use a knife to kill an animal. Because we believe God, Olofi, is the only person who is ordained to take a life. We go through a ceremony where we're shown how to not let the animal suffer, so that when we do kill the animal, it doesn't suffer because the animal is making a sacrifice for us. So that's where maybe you go to a santera and they say you need a limpia. They're going to clean you with the animal and they're going to kill the animal. Santeras who have It's a separate ceremony to be able to kill. That's another ceremony that's more than $10,000 also for you to be able to kill an animal. That ceremony means that you have cuchillo, which I have. So we do sacrifice animals. It's not in the way that people think. I do readings.
Now, when you say cuchillo, you're talking about knife?
Yeah, well, the ceremony is called cuchillo, and it's basically, as I was saying, I don't talk about ceremonies, but I'll give you an overview.
Okay, please do.
It's a ceremony where only if you've already been crowned, the first ceremony, the 7-day ceremony, you can do another ceremony called cuchillo, where you are shown and given the rights, let's call it, to be able to kill an animal with a knife. Okay, to use a knife, because we believe the knives belong to a god called Ogun, which has to do with steel. And that ceremony, one part of the ceremony is they show you how to kill these animals without having them suffer.
Okay.
So I think the fallacy with Santeria is that every time you go to me for a reading, I'm going to kill an animal. That's not what happens. You come to me for a reading. I don't throw chicken bones. I throw shells. I throw shells. They're called Delogun. And in order for you to throw shells, you have to study for a minimum of 10 years under somebody's tutelage of an elder. Wow. So I studied under an elder for 10 years.
If I may, please hold that note. It almost seems like for everything that you guys do in Santeria, you almost have to be taught or ordained.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to break up your flow. Please continue, and then I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take it back to the beginning with your mother.
Okay. So I do readings. I throw Delogun. I studied under an elder. One of my elders was my mother, and I've had other elders also. And that took me 10 years to learn how to do. So when I read you, I tell you past, present, future. And my goal is to help you align your energy so that you're able to be the most successful you can be, both personally and in your business life. So it might not need a chicken. It might need for you to go pay for a mass in a Catholic church. It might need for you to take a bath with herbs. It could be 1,000 things, right? Wow. But this animal sacrifice is a part of our religion, but it's not essential to everything because we have to respect the animal. The animal is giving up its life for us, and blood is hot. You know, when you cut yourself, your blood doesn't come out cold, it comes out hot, right? So for us, in an energy perspective, if you keep just killing animals, you're making the situation hotter. You want to make the situation cooler, right? Okay. So there is animal sacrifice. We don't throw chicken bones. Not all of us come out with our head wrapped and dressed in white. I mean, I guess I could have came like that today. It would have been fun. I do dress like that for ceremony. I'm all in white. I cover my head. I'm wearing collares. But there's a time and a place for things. Okay. And I feel like people who you see in the street, just like at the mall, I think a lot of people do it for attention. Okay. So
we're going to get to that, and I thank you for giving us that overview. Mm-hmm. Now, let's start from the very beginning. Since you were a young girl, has your mother always been involved in Santeria, or was she ever once a Christian, a Catholic, a Jehovah, and then converted? Kind of walk us through that.
So my mother's from Mexico City. Okay. My father's American from Silver Lake. My mother's from Mexico City. She went to Catholic school all her life up until she graduated in Mexico. Okay. She came here in the 70s. She has been a real estate agent. She owned her own real estate company in Downey for a lot of years. Okay. She went to a lady to throw the cards because she wanted her business to take off. Oh, okay. Her business was kind of slow. And she went when I was probably 10. Okay. To a lady who threw her cards. So the lady threw her cards, and then the lady invited her to a party.
Now, when you say, to clarify this, when you say threw her cards, are these tarot cards?
Tarot cards. She threw her tarot cards. Okay. To tell her what she could do to manifest like a better business. Okay. Environment for herself, because she said she was busy, but she couldn't get to where she wanted to go. She felt like there was a blockage. Okay. So she went to this lady. The lady threw her cards. Perfect. She invites her to a party. My mom goes to a party, and it's a Santeria party. It's called a tambor. Oh, okay. Because in my religion, we play the drums. Not we, like women don't play the drums. Only men play the drums. Okay. But
is there a reason for that?
Yeah. So I want to tell you that Santeria is very misogynistic because this is a religion that came over from Africa during the slave trade. Yes. And we hold a lot of religious customs that now would seem archaic to people. Okay. But there are things that only men do. and things that women do.
Okay.
But there's a fallacy where people think that women are beneath men in Santeria. That's not true. Women are a life source. We're the top of the food chain. The fact that we don't do certain things is because we are not ordained to do those things.
Okay.
So one of them is playing drums. We don't play drums. So because there's a whole ceremony to play our sacred drums too.
Okay. And you have to pay for that too?
Everything gets paid for. Because in that, my son, I have a 16-year-old son. He has already saint done the ceremony, and he was ordained to play drums.
Okay.
All of those ceremonies require animal sacrifice. You have to do something called levante, which means I invite you guys to come work the religion, and then I pay you for your day, because I pay everybody who shows up. I feed them, I pay them, I give them a gift. I pay for the animals. So the money that you're paying goes to all of these things.
Okay.
That's where the money goes. It's called a derecho. If you come to my home and you're like, Thanya, I want to get whatever, olokun with you, which is a saint. I tell you, this is the derecho. This amount of money is going to cover everything that you need. You're just going to show up. I'm going to pay everybody from here. I'm going to feed everybody from here. We're going to have everything. That's where the money goes in Santeria, which is a whole nother topic, because there are a lot of people who do take advantage of people, who do overcharge them. But my mom, to go back, she went to a tambor, and she saw that everybody was happy. They were playing music, they were drinking, they were having a good time. Yeah. And my mom was used to like being Catholic, where everything was like, if you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. And she says that right away, she was like, I want to be part of this religion because everybody's having a good time. Yeah, yeah. So she told the lady, how do I get baptized? And the lady told her, who ended up being her godmother, she's Cuban. She was like, there's no baptism here. You have to go through a ceremony, but you don't want to do it. She told her, don't do it because it's a commitment for life.
Oh, so it's just not like, today I feel like being Mormon.
Correct. So we have ceremonies that we do that have to do, all of our ceremonies have to do with energy. So your astral, the way that your life energetically is projected for you. So those ceremonies, let's say my son already has a lot of ceremonies, but he's 16. So if at 21 he wants to be Muslim, let's say, right? Yeah. Then he's going to go be Muslim. But he's going to have the ceremonies. They're never going to go away, the ceremonies that I did to him. They're never going to go away. But should he choose to practice something else, me as a mother, I have to respect that. And all of his things would still stay with me, all of his religious things that he has, and he would go find his happiness, right? But the ceremonies that I did are always going to stay. Okay. So you can get out of the religion, but the ceremonies that are done to you, you can never erase. Okay. So now, that's how my mom got into it.
Now, as far as your mother, when she, I guess, went through the ceremonies to become a part of the religion, is that okay to say the religion? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Did she come home and immediately like, babe, I think you should be with that? Be what I did as well, or like how did that come about? Were you?
My mom was on like the fast track. It was crazy how it happened with my mom. So my mom went from just going to get her cards read to starting to be in the religion within a matter of 6 months, and then within a matter of like maybe 3 years, she did what we call crowning or do santo. She didn't tell anybody. She went. She told my dad the day she left. She was like, I'll be back in 7 days.
Damn, like that?
I'll be back in 7 days. I was raised by a very headstrong woman. I'll be back in 7 days. I'm going to go do this, you know. And the first thing my dad told her was, please don't shave your head. In our religion, we shave your head sometimes. So most of the time. And my mom was like, okay. So of course she shaved her head. So she went and did what she had to do. 7 days later, she came home. No hair. When you do that ceremony, you take a vow of humility, and you take a vow where you are not vain. So we don't look in a mirror for a year. Women, we don't do our makeup. We have no hair. We cover our heads. We don't shake hands. We eat on the floor. We sleep on the floor. These are all things that people don't talk about because that's not the part that sells, right?
Right. It's not popular. It's not trending.
It's not trending. So we don't do our nails. Previously, they wouldn't let you shave.
What about deodorant? Can you wear deodorant and stuff?
If you're in a very traditional home now they've moved it where the first 3 months they don't let you wear deodorant. It used to be a full year. because they're trying to get your body's essence to be as pure as it can. But what happens? We don't live in the time where Santeria really came forward. So I have godchildren who are FBI agents. I have godchildren who are drug dealers. I have a lot of godchildren who do a lot of different things where it's unrealistic for me to ask them to do that. So we allow Orisha, which is what we believe in, to give us guidance and tell us which way to go with our godchildren. But the set of rules never changes. You have to sleep on the floor. You have to eat on the floor. You don't give your hand. There's a lot of things. But of course, you have to go to work. You have to go to work. You have to pick up your son from school. Go pick up your son from school. But what you're trying to give up is your worldly life where you're out drinking and smoking and hanging out. So my mom did that, came home, and...
How did your dad take it?
So I want to say that my dad is older than my mom by about 7 years. And my dad was a full-blown hippie. He grew up in Silver Lake. He he has pictures with Charles Manson and really? Partying on the Sunset Strip.
Wow.
And he used to go to the Buddhist temples to chant, to meet girls. Right?
Wow.
He tells me I used to go and I learned how to chant just to pick up on chicks. And my dad took it, I think, as the best he could take it. He was I think he thought it was a moment, that she was looking for something. Maybe
for a phase, it'll go away.
And the only thing he told her was, don't make the kids do it, right? So my mom was like, okay. But my mom's very headstrong. So I feel like she just said okay for whatever. So I was probably 9 and my sister was about 15 when that happened. So shortly thereafter, I received a lekes, which is the introduction to this religion, which is a ceremony where you receive 5 beaded necklaces.
Did you want to do this?
No. When my mom took me to get a lekes, I didn't even know. My mom's famous for that. She stuck me in a car. She was like, come with me. Okay. So I get in the car with her and I'm like, where are we going? And she's like, oh, today you're going to get a lekes. And I was mad. I was like, I don't want those things. I don't want to be a santera. Because I was like everybody else. I don't want to be with these people who kill chickens and they shave your head. I'm a kid. What do I know? I don't know shit. So she took me, I got a lekes. And then I feel like Santeria wasn't really what my mom focused on so much. She focused on spiritualism. She focused on helping me and my sister at the time align ourselves spiritually, to find out who our ancestors are, to find out who our spirit guides are. Because my mother was told when she did that ceremony, that 7-day where they shave your head, there's another thing that happens where they give you something called ita. And ita is a life reading for the rest of your life. It talks about your past, your present, your future. It gives you things that you should avoid, things you should focus on, and it'll touch on your children as well. The only thing we don't tell you is the day you're going to die.
But the person that's giving you that does know?
The person that's giving you that will tell you whether you're going to live a long life or a short life. But we don't give you specifics because we feel it's detrimental. But let's say that somebody comes to us, and I've had this happen, and they think that they've had diseases that they feel like are going to cut their life short. I have a goddaughter who has cancer, and I did a ceremony for her where she got a life reading, and she was really scared that they were going to tell her, hey, you know what? Your life's going to be short. But instead they told her you're going to have a long life, but you're going to have a lot of health issues. So then they told her, you need to be very cognizant of your health all the way around. Don't think that because you're in remission, you can stop going to the doctor.
Okay. Don't
think that because you're in remission, you can eat whatever you want. So now she knows I'm going to have a long life, but I'm going to have hiccups that come along with it.
Yeah.
So that's what Ita does. It tells you all these things, and it'll touch on some things about your children. And in my mother's Ita, I told her that 2 of her children were psychic out of her 3 children, and that one of them was me. So my mother automatically started to focus on trying to develop my psychic ability. And my mom is very traditional when it comes to religion. So there was no faking the funk with my mom.
Yeah, yeah.
So she started me at 10, 11, 12. We did water gazing, meditation classes. I would read books, on spiritualism from Allan Kardec. And I feel like from about 10 to about 14, she really like focused on that in my life. And then I became a teenager and then I was not interested at all.
Oh, okay.
And she just kind of let it, I always had to do things out of respect, but she never like would tell me, you have to do saint, you have to do this ceremony. She gave me orula, she gave me aleques. We did certain things spiritually, but she never pushed me for the big ceremony.
Now, all this is going on. Were you guys still going, or was your mother still attending Catholic church, or did that stop?
So we were not big church people.
Okay.
I remember going to church when I was little, like on Sundays for a long time. And then my grandmother moved here from Mexico City.
Okay.
And then she would take me with her, but she wasn't even a church person. She would just go because I think sometimes it's just costumbre, right? Like you're brought up to think that that's what you do. You go Sunday, you get drunk Saturday, you go to church on Sunday. Like that's just how it goes.
Clean slate.
Yeah, clean slate. You're like, sorry, God, right? So we weren't really big on church, but my mother was always spiritual. So there was always like a veladora. You know, we have a lot of, my mother was raised by her great grandmother, and she believed a lot in the Virgen. So we always had like a Virgen de Guadalupe. So we never gave up our customs as people to integrate to Santeria.
Okay.
We kept the orishas one way and then our customs another way.
Okay.
So by this time, my dad's just rolling with it, right? Like
But he never joined.
Okay. So my dad is now 77 years old. Mm-hmm. He did his first Santeria ceremony at 60. He just did another one at like 74. And although he doesn't have the ceremonies that we have done,
yes,
he will go to my home. My parents are not together. He'll go to my home. He'll get limpias. He'll ask me to read him. He'll ask me, like, he's very open to good energy.
Okay.
So in a really weird twist, his father, who lived in Mexico City, at 70 got into Santeria.
Really?
Randomly. So nobody else is in Santeria in his family, just his father, who's now passed away. But so my mom's just rolling with it. You know, she's not really forcing it on us. She's not really pushing us, really. And then at 20, I decided that I wanted to get the ceremony done, the full ceremony done. And that's what I did.
What made you want to dive into it? Like, was it just like, okay, I've already been through this, might as well? Or did you see something that enthused you to say, like, yeah, I need to do this?
It was really selfish. I had a purpose because I wanted to achieve something in my life. And when I would get readings, the person who was reading me told me, okay, well, it's a given. This religion is very give and take. So he was like, well, you need to make a sacrifice and a commitment if you want them to help you with this thing that you want. And I really wanted that thing. And I said, okay, I was so ignorant. I was like, I'm going to do them the favor of doing this ceremony, which is so stupid. So I went to Cuba. I'm the only person in my family who got initiated in Cuba.
And why Cuba, for those that may not know?
So Cuba really is the motherland for Santeria, because in the African slave trade it came downward, and then what was originally practiced was in Yoruba. It was in the tribes in Africa. So when it came to Cuba, it turned into Santeria. So why do they call it Santeria? Because when the slaves came, they had to hide their religious belief behind Catholic idols.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the Santa comes from, all the santos that you had to use. So like in Santeria, there's a god named Chango. Chango is the god of war. He's a warrior, but he's synchronized with Santa Barbara.
But Chango means monkey.
But it's with an S.
Oh, so it's
Shango.
Shango. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, or like Ochun is synchronized with La Caridad del Cobre. So they synchronized these saints with these orishas because they needed to hide it, because they were not allowed to practice Santeria. Santeria was even illegal in Cuba for a lot of years under Fidel Castro.
Really?
Yeah, because there was a lot of money being traded, and he was like totally, well, Cuba's communist, so they were like, no money, everything goes to the government.
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to do Santo in Cuba because I wanted to go where it was from.
Right.
And my godfather, Kibae, who has already passed away, was there. And when I met my godfather, it was like we had this spiritual connection that I've never had with anybody else ever. And I just trusted him. And I knew that what he was going to do for me even though I was ignorant in the fact that I thought I was doing him a favor, because here I am, I'm an American, I'm paying him in dollars. Like in my very little mind at the time, I was like, I'm doing him like, oh, he's going to be great. I'm giving him all this money,
Right.
you know, for whatever it is that they give me in return. And I'm doing him a favor, which is so stupid. He saved my life, literally. I asked for his blessing every day and he changed my life's trajectory. So I did the ceremony and it was very humbling, because it's very humbling to see yourself without any hair, no makeup.
Oh, so you went bald too?
Mm-hmm. No hair, no makeup, you know, eating on the floor, sleeping on the floor. It's August. Cuba is the hottest in August. If I would have known then what I know now, I would have did it in January.
Right.
There was no air conditioning. There's no internet. You can't be on the phone anyway. But when I did Saint, there was no internet, no phone. I couldn't watch TV. Basically, you sit in the room under a throne that they make of tela, and you contemplate your life. And you think about the things that you could have done differently and the things that you want to do differently. And you try to come to terms with things while you wait for your life reading.
Okay.
So on the 7th day, they give you your life reading.
Okay. Now, how long does usually your life reading take?
So it takes hours.
Okay.
It takes hours. So like every Orisha that you receive speaks to you. So the saint that I have done is called Agayu, and it's a rare saint. It's the volcano. That's what he's represented in nature. So that's how his children are, like the volcano. And that's very much like my personality. Like I could take a lot, and then when you have me already, I don't care. Like I'm going to blow up. I'm going to take everybody with me. I don't care. And also, the volcano makes new paths and new land. And I've always been able to, in any situation that I'm in, make myself a path.
Okay.
So that's the saint that I have done. So quite a few saints talked to me. And the first thing they told me was, oh, you're going to have a lot of God kids. And I looked at my godfather and I was like, I don't want that. Right away, I was like, not me. And my godfather was like, don't talk. Just let them talk to you. And again, another one, oh, you're going to have a lot of God kids. And I was like,
so there's more than one person reading to you then?
So there's a person reading me, and then he'll have an assistant, and then there's elders in the room that also talk about, because the way that they read you is a mathematical divination system, and it's 2 numbers. So the numbers will come out, and those numbers are attached to like a parable, like in the Bible, like if you were to read a psalm, right? Like John 3:16, like that. And then they'll put it, and they'll tell you what it means in your life. So it's an Oba, which is a master of ceremonies, a Felicita, which writes it down, my godparents, and my elders, other elders. So all these saints are like, oh, you're going to have a lot of godchildren. And I was like, that's not what I came for. I came for this other thing. Like, tell me about this other thing, you know? Right. And I remember that when it was done, I was like, I don't want a lot of god kids. I don't want to do this.
Now, when you told me that this guy was your god kid, she was your godchild.
Oh, the people we're talking about?
So I was like, okay, you sound like you got a big family. Like, but you meant it in a Santeria, I guess, aspect.
So I'm considered a madrina because I have ceremonies done. And then I have, like, Betty's my goddaughter.
Okay.
So she has ceremonies done under me. And I turn into, like, Betty, Martin, different people, I turn into like their spiritual life coach.
Okay.
It's the best way to put it. They get readings with me, and then I help them so that they're able to break generational curses, things that happen repeatedly in your family that you're in a cycle of. There's a lot of people who, like a generational curse, I always tell people the Kardashians have a generational curse. They can't keep a man.
Ain't that the damn truth? Can you say that again for the people in the back?
They have a generational curse. None of them can keep a man. None of them.
You know, let's hold that thought right. I'm going to ask you something. Do you think that they practice something?
I know they practice something. It's not Santeria, but they do practice something.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that they practice something because I have a lot of godchildren in the industry. And I have a particular godchild who we were comparing notes about something, and they totally practice something. It's just not Santeria.
Okay.
I know that they've gotten read by Santeros. I know that they get life readings and stuff. But like, what they're supposed to do is focus on breaking generational things. And a lot of the times, like their lack of being able to stay in a stable relationship, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we focus on money.
Yes.
So I get a lot of people who come to me and they get a reading with me. Like the beginning of the year is coming, I'll get a lot of people getting readings, which is great. And they'll be like, how do I make more money?
Yeah.
But maybe the problem isn't for you to make more money. Maybe the problem is, where's your money going? Or maybe the problem is your health. Maybe you're trading your health to make money, and that's not a good trade-off. Or maybe you're trading your time with your family to make money, and that's not a good trade-off. There has to be a balance in life. I believe that everybody should be prosperous and we should all have money, because money is a natural thing. In Catholicism, you're made to think that the humble will inherit the earth, and you know, the meek and the poor will be first, but all the pastors aren't poor. So
Ain't that the truth?
So that's not the way to go. Everybody should have the ability to make money, but I think that cannot be our only focus in life.
Okay.
So when you come to a reading with me, if it is a blockage, we'll help you remove the blockage, and you'll make, you know.
How long have you been reading now?
14 years.
And this is tarot cards or shells?
Shells.
Okay.
Tarot cards are beneath me because I have a lot of ceremonies done. So to throw tarot would be beneath me.
Oh, okay. So it's like a whole different other level now. All right.
Yeah, that would be beneath.
I didn't know. So when you see somebody reading tarot cards, you're like, okay.
Well, they're not part of my religion. And if they are part of my religion and they're reading tarot, they're
still in elementary.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so now, how many years now have you been practicing Santeria? Living it?
I'll be 25 years old in Santo this coming August. And before that, I started probably 30. Well, I mean, I was a kid.
Okay. I'm going to read a poll really quick that we put on there, and then I got another question that I want to ask you. Okay. Are you a believer in Santeria? That was the question 33 minutes ago. We had 149 votes. 34 said, yes, I do. 48% said, no, I don't. 18% said maybe.
Maybe.
So, yeah. So, hopefully we got another good question up there. But now let me ask you this. Say that somebody... And you don't have to say their names, honestly, because
we're gonna sell everybody out right now. And I'm just kidding.
Now, do you do readings only for your godchildren, or for somebody off the street that says, "Hey, listen"?
I do readings for whomever. I have I'll get contacted through my Instagram page. I'll do readings for whomever.
Okay.
You don't have to be. There's a fallacy. You don't need to be a santero to get a reading with me. I have people who are santeros who are part of my house that get readings with me, but I also have people who just like to know the future. I have people who are Muslim who get readings with me.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
So Allah's not coming through? Allah
is coming through on another end, but I'm coming through daily.
Okay.
So I have people who consider themselves Catholic and get readings with me.
Wow.
And they consider themselves to be, if you ask them what their religion is, it's Catholicism. I have Buddhist. I have every religion you can think of getting read with me.
Okay. Now here's a couple of questions. Do you ever get guys that come through and you just said first thing many of them ask for is money? What about like, yo, I'm trying to get with this girl? So,
you want to know something funny? I feel like that I got a lot of those at the end of the year. It's cuffing season. I get a lot of those at the end of the year. But I used to get a lot of girls who would be like, my ex broke up with me. I don't ever want him to be with nobody again.
Really?
A lot of that.
And they're willing to pay?
A lot of that. And they're willing to pay. So I'm going to tell you my point of view on it, because this is what I think. I think that if you come to me and you don't want your ex to ever get with anybody else, that's not your problem. Your problem is why you want to be with this person who you're telling me wasn't good for you. So we should work on things that are generational. So you look for somebody who's going to make you happy.
Yes.
Because the vindictive thing, you should hope he meets somebody. Because he's trash. You're telling me he's trash. Let him be somebody else's trash, right? Like, why are you worried about that? Or I'll get guys who are like, I want her to come back. How was she? She was horrible with me. So you just like to suffer? You need to break these generational things so that you can be more abundant. Right. Because there's no way. I tell people, it's not that I don't do bad magic. Of course I know how to do bad things. You learn the good with the bad. And I believe in defending yourself. If you do something to me, if you try to hit me, I'm going to hold my hand up, right? So you don't hit me. But I'm not going to intentionally pick a fight with you, because I'm going to focus on my prosperity.
Right.
Like if you're worried about staying in your lane, making money, making moves, buying real estate, doing everything you need to do to prosper, you're not worried about little things.
Right.
So I believe in defending yourself. If you come to me and somebody's done witchcraft to you, for sure we'll send it back. And we're going to send it back harder than they send it to you. Because a lesson has to be learned. But if you're coming to me and they haven't done anything to you but broken up with you,
right,
we're going to have a long conversation. You know?
What about, let me give you a different scenario. What about, I don't want that person to be successful. I don't want that person to make any money. And I'm going to make it personal. I had a buddy that was messing around with the wrong type of girl. True story, guys. And he was messing around with this girl while him and his real girl were taking a break.
Oh, they were on a break.
They were on a break. So he was screwing around with this girl, but he told this girl
that me and my girl on a break.
Yes, if you want to kick it,
when the break is over, you off.
Yes. So immediately this hood rat that when they told her it's over, started threatening that other girl, like his girl, and said, "You don't know who I am. I know brujos. I can make his wee-wee never go back up. They'll never hear his music on the radio, blah, blah, blah." Is that stuff possible?
Yes.
So even his wee-wee cannot go up?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Thank God I've never been cursed.
You can make people have miscarriages.
Really?
Car accidents. The fact that I don't like to focus on the negative, but of course you're going to do things. Look, I'm a Santera, but I'm also part of another religion called Palo Mayombe.
Okay.
You know Conejo the rapper?
Yes.
You see when he posts when he's doing stuff?
No, I don't follow him.
Oh, okay. Well, he posts a lot. He's a palero too. So it's considered the dark side of Santeria.
See, that's what I thought. Because one day somebody sent me a video of him. Maybe it was like 2 years ago. And he was wearing this creepy devil-looking mask.
I don't know what's up with that. That's just like for fun, I guess, for him. But
so that's more Hollywood.
That's Hollywood.
Okay.
But what is in Hollywood is he has ceremonies done that I have done that connect you with your ancestors spiritually. Those ceremonies are a pact, and it's called a prenda. So in my house, kind of like, let's say my house is your house. That's the front house. Right. In the back, I have a room also. But my room is full of stuff for magic. So there's cauldrons, like a witch cauldron.
Now, when you say magic, you're not talking about Harry Houdini magic, no?
No, okay. I mean like spiritual magic.
Okay.
So there's prendas and things like that. And in that sect of the religion, which my godfather who passed away was very good at, and taught me a lot of things, that's where all those things come into play. May he never get an erection again. I hope that he crashes. But I want to tell you something. If you're doing this to people who really have not done anything to you, magic is a boomerang.
Thank you for saying that. Because that was my next question.
Magic is a boomerang. So let's say that girl did that to him, right?
Right.
Okay. Maybe not today. Maybe not 20 years from now. Maybe right now she's young. Let's say she's 20 right now. Nothing happens to her today. Tomorrow she's 30. But then she's going to be 40 and she's going to be 50. And that boomerang's going to come around when the magic decides to come around. And magic, when you pay for things that you did that were erroneous, I see this more and more now as I get older. You really pay for it when you're older. When you're young, you're invincible. You're strong. You don't got health problems. You're ready to go. When you're older is when things hit you more. So my mother has always told me, don't worry about it now. Worry about it later. These people don't see the future. The future, if nobody's doing things to you, magic is a cash business. And there's a lot of people who don't have scruples, who will do things to people who don't deserve it just to get the money, right?
Right.
Is it going to work? Yeah. If they know what they're doing, it's going to work for sure. But that person who's doing it has to do things so that karma doesn't hit them. The person who's your brujo, and that's why we do so many ceremonies. And then the person who's paying for all this, wishing all this negative stuff, is also going to pay for it. And maybe you don't see it the way that you saw the result of this person getting affected, right? Maybe your friend started having a lot of problems.
Right.
But maybe your friend was also more open to it and susceptible to it because of things that are generationally within him. So let's say that they did that to him. He had to go to a santero to get rid of it, or a brujo or somebody, right?
Right.
9 times out of 10, that person who goes to somebody to get rid of it finds a spiritual path for themselves and starts believing in something. So I also think sometimes you get to Santeria in the worst situations, and then you learn how to develop like an appreciation for the religion.
Right.
But yeah, magic can do all kinds of things.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay.
But you got to have a moral compass. You have to have a moral compass, because when I read people. I'm going to tell you a story.
Yes.
A man came to get read with me. He's a judge in Riverside. He came to get read with me. We read him. And in the reading with the shells, it's telling me that he's a homosexual and that his problems are because he has a boyfriend and a wife. Okay. This man came to my house with a big belt buckle, with a hat, very proper, gave me his card as a judge. I was like, I don't know why I need this, whatever. Sits down, and I call my mom. I'm like, Mom.
No, press pause right there. Uh-huh. So you saw this in the shells,
yes.
right? But you didn't tell him.
No, because this was when I first started reading.
Okay.
So I'm still gun shy, right? Like, I know how to do it. I'm connecting with spirit, but I'm like, you always doubt, right? And I'm human. I'm like, there's no way this man he came with his wife. He left her in my living room and got a reading. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I call my mom. She was there. And I'm like, Mom. And she looks at me and she goes, say what it says. And I said, okay, sir, sir. I don't know why you came because when people get readings with me, I tell them, you don't have to tell me why you're getting a reading with me, because the shells are going to tell me what you need to focus on. And if I don't answer your question, tell me and we can talk about it. But the reading's going to go where it needs to go. And I start talking to him and I'm like, I don't know why you came to me, but this says that you have a situation in your marriage. And he's like, yes. I said, there's a third party. And he said, yes. And I said, and it's a man, because you're homosexual.
What was his response?
He was so honest. He was like, you're correct.
Oh, really?
He goes, I want to know if there's something that I can do so that I don't have those feelings anymore.
Oh, so he had a fling, and he was just like,
Not
okay.
a fling. He had a boyfriend.
Oh.
But he was so like embarrassed and like distraught and wanted me to magically make him not be homosexual, I guess, right?
Like pray the gay away.
Pray the gay away. So I was like, well, that's not
how it works.
That's not how it works, because there's things that are not magical. That's what he likes. It's not magical. If you come to me and you have cancer, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you so that the treatment is the best possible result. I tell people I'm a pillow. If you were going to fall, I'm the pillow so you don't fall on your face. I've had people who have been looking at 40 years in jail, and I've been able to get them 15. Some people might be like 15 sucks, but 40 sucks more.
40 sucks more. Okay, another one. Let's just say, were you ever in a situation where you read somebody and you just didn't tell them? Like, for an example, let's just say I'm doing a reading and I'm shuffling shells, and I see he's gonna make money, he's gonna get married, but I also see he's gonna get killed. It's never like that. Okay. So forgive my ignorance.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to give you an example that just happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was reading a godchild of mine who's out of state, because I can do virtual readings also. Okay. You don't need to be in front of me. I was reading a godchild of mine who was out of state, and I got a sign where it says I can't read her anymore. The first sign that I threw says stop. And I had never gotten that sign in my life. I called my mother, and I was like, what do I do? And she's like, hey, that sign is telling you someone's going to die. Do this and this and this. It's talking to you, she told me, my mom, and it's talking to her. Find out if somebody in her family's sick. Find out what's going on with you. Okay, so I'm like, okay. I talked to my goddaughter. She's like, oh, my uncle's, he's dying, madrina. Okay, so I kind of just let it go. It was like 8 a.m. At 10 p.m, I got a call. And they asked me if I had talked to a friend of mine. And the person was like, when's the last time you talked to this person? And something clicked. And I said, just tell me. And they told me he's dead. Oh. And I hung up the phone and I called my friend's sister. And she was at his home. He died at home. He was still there, and the coroner was going to go pick him up. And I called her and I said, what's going on? And she was like, Thanya, I just got here. He's dead. And I was like, okay. That happens. The sign was already telling me something was coming. Wow. But when I read people, I'll tell them like, this sign says, be careful driving.
Okay.
Or I have a lot of goddaughters who are they're killing it on OnlyFans. They're killing it at strip clubs. They're killing it at a lot of things. I'm not here. I want to tell you something. I don't judge anybody. If you're a sex worker, if you do what you got to do, because I'm not here to judge you. Do I think that's going to be your career long term? No. I have godchildren who are street pharmacists, and I tell them nobody retires from that.
Right.
Get a plan, right? But I'm not going to judge you. So I will tell them things like whatever comes out in the reading. They'll come and tell me what they think. And then what I tell people now is, you guys can tell me everything that you want, but I believe this. So if this tells me for you not to get any more cosmetic surgery, don't get it right now. The readings are good for 16 to 21 days. You have to let that cycle go out.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because it has to do with the moon cycle. You know, with the ocean, when the tide is high, the tide is low. Our bodies are all celestial. So we are literally spirits having a human experience.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
So our cycles change every 21 days. Right now, you may be having you could even look at this in your life. Look at your life and be like, oh my God, January is the best month ever. And then you get around January 28th and you start having a few hiccups. A new cycle begins. Oh, February's not that great, but it ended and March was great.
Right.
Cycles. What we try to do is so that the up and downs are not so varied.
Okay.
We try to have you flow at an auric energy that's going to be prosperous for you.
Okay. Well, what is one of the biggest misconceptions that people have of Santeria when they first hear of it? I'll tell you what it is. And again, I like to blame Hollywood. It's of the devil. How would you answer someone that and then give us what you think is the biggest misconception that people have of Santeria?
My mom, sometimes I'll do lives and she'll jump on. She's really cute. And people will be like, oh, you made a pact with the devil. And my mom's like, I wish. If there was one, I'd do it. Like, imagine. That guy has no problems. We don't believe in the devil.
Okay.
In my home, I'm going to tell you how we practice. Because I'm sure there's santeros who do believe in the devil. We don't. My mother never raised me that way. We believe in light and the absence of light. There are things that need light. And you need to change that. But we don't believe people think we don't pray to God.
Okay.
Of course we pray to God. When I wake up in the morning, I thank God for everything. I don't believe in the God that's on the cross with the blue eyes and the blonde hair.
The guy that looks like Brad Pitt.
I don't believe in that because I don't believe in the Bible.
Okay.
And people always get upset. But the Bible is a man-made book with historical facts. But if you read the Bible, which I have, it says that God had hair like brass, like wool, skin like brass and hair like wool. Brass is dark and wool is coarse. So he was more than likely Egyptian looking, black, Afro-American. I've been to Egypt. There's no way he could have survived. So I don't believe in the one that is depicted in the Catholic Church because that has a whole thing to do with the conquest. So I don't believe in the devil like that.
Okay.
I believe that you have to thank everything, starting with God and then all of the energies and all the santos for everything that you have daily.
Okay. Now, if somebody were to ask you that maybe it's in your home and then you just finished saying that I believe in God. If somebody were to say, well, what's your God's name? What would you?
Well, I mean, God. We could call him God. God's God. But in African, it's called Olofi.
Oh, okay.
So you know the Father, Son, Holy Spirit?
Mm-hmm.
So when we do our prayer, it's Olofi, Olorun, Olodumare. So God, it's like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
So we believe in God and we mention it all the time. The difference with us and the Catholic Church, I feel, is that we have a very strong ties to ancestors. So ancestors are one thing and Egun, which is spirit, is another.
Okay.
Ancestors are people in your family who've passed away who are with you. Your grandma, your great-grandma, your grandpa, your dad. Spirits that now are with you. Egun are spirits that God, since you were born, sent to protect you.
Okay.
And those spirits are not blood related. You could have a Viking. You could have a samurai. It has nothing to do with your race. You could have a black person. You could have a gypsy. It has nothing to do with your sex either. You could have females. Okay. So we practice spiritualism so you can connect to those things because that is really what's going to be your life force to propel forward.
Okay. So let's just say somebody says, okay, you know what? I like that answer. What about when you die? What happens to us when we die?
So we have a ceremony when we die also
that
you got to pay for.
Damn. All right. Save up your money, everybody.
I want to tell you something. Santeria is not cheap. Santeria is not a cheap religion. Santeria, because there's so many people involved, it's an expensive religion.
Okay.
But it's not impossible.
Okay.
It should not be impossible. And if you have a good godparent, I consider myself a good godparent. Money is never the factor. If you have to get something done, I'm going to work with you and I'm going to help you. Because we as Santeros, when I did that ceremony, I took an oath to help humanity. So if you knock on my door and you're like, Tanya, you know what? I have this problem. How do I fix it? And I tell you, okay, it's $1,000. And you tell me I don't have it. We're going to work together so that you can get it done.
Okay.
Money's not going to be the factor why you don't do it.
Okay.
That's not going to be the factor. But I'm also not going to put everything for you because I have done that in the past and people don't appreciate what they don't work for.
Hold that thought. Once again, I want to read our next poll. Okay, we had 25 minutes ago, 123 votes. And the question was, are you curious about joining Santeria?
That's a good question.
16% said, yes, I am. 77%, no, I'm not. 7% maybe, but I need more information. Now, so I'm asking these questions. And when we open up with the phone lines, I want you guys to call in. So now, like everything that you were just saying, I believe in God, but he's just God.
It's an energy, not so much a person. It's an energy, right?
Okay. And I think from some of the stuff that we have been fed, again, through television, through movies, this is why I think people would look at you guys and say, they sold their soul to the devil.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally, look, my husband's mother is very Catholic, which I think must have been a shock when we got married, right? Because I never hid my religion. And I respect everybody's religious beliefs. But you have to be religious. You cannot come at me and talk madness to me if you ain't religious.
Like it's not going to work me putting you down and telling you you're going straight to hell because you took a pact with the devil.
Plus, I want to tell you that I'm a person who reads a lot. I'm educated. You have to come correctly with me because if you come at me with the Bible, I can also quote Bible. If you come at me about other things, I read a lot.
Of course.
You know? So my mother-in-law is very religious. She prays every day. She goes to church 5 times a week. That's religious. She has a faith in something. I respect her to no end. If she tells me to sit down and do a rosary with her, I'm going to sit down and do it with her. Okay. Because I know how to do it. Yeah. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to respect her. She had a stroke. And the first thing I told my husband was, I'm going to give her a protection necklace. Is that okay? And he said, okay. Because we're coming from the same place, but we're just different branches. Yes. But we both believe in things. And she respects my beliefs because she sees that I live it. And I respect her because I see that she lives it. Okay,
and that's leading me right into my next question. Okay. In Christianity, one thing that I've noticed that I've had a lot of friends growing up that some were Baptist, some would say they were Pentecostal, some would say they were apostolic, others would say they're Presbyterian, etc. They all claim to believe the same Bible, okay? In Santeria, is there different, if you will, and I'm using this loosely, denominations?
So there's different what is called ramas.
Okay.
Which I'm from the Rama de Pimienta. There's like 5 different houses. It's kind of like Harry Potter, right? You know, like Ravenclaw, like that. But Santeria is one religion. I was just talking about it with him. Santeria is one religion. I see a lot of people doing things that are wrong. I used to argue a lot. I'm a traditional Santera. My elders go back in Cuba almost 100 years. Okay. My lineage is very strong. And I was taught by those people and my mother. So I see things that are done incorrectly. There's no changing things. There's no 2 ways to put collares. There's no 2 ways to give elegua. There's one way. The fact that people now do it differently because they don't know how to do it and because they want to charge more and because they want to fake it, that's wrong. There's only one way to do it. But I used to argue with everybody. Everybody. Because oh my God, because no, I'm confrontational for fun. Because I got so tired of people using this religion that I love for money. And not doing what they said they were going to do. It's like if I came and you sold me this, right? You could sell it to me for whatever you want because it's yours. Right. But if you're selling it to me broken and you're lying to me, that's a whole nother thing, right?
Especially if I say, I know a guy from Africa that practice Santeria, and he blessed us.
Correct. You got to just get on TikTok for that. I used to argue with everybody on TikTok. But now I tell people I don't practice like that because I got tired of going back and forth with people.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you ask me and you have a godparent and you want to ask me, like, is this done correctly? I'm going to ask you questions because I want to make sure you have the ceremony. And I'm trying to keep the integrity of my religion. And be prepared for me to tell you the truth.
Right.
You know, it's sad. It's, you know, I blame it on like the narco corridos and like Kehlani and everybody who's in Santeria.
Right.
With a good intention, but just bad elders, right? I'm not saying that her elders are bad. I'm just saying that it became very popular. So...
Do you think that at one point, okay, let me give you an example. Years ago, I went to one of my buddies' Christian churches, and I'm not talking down on Christian people at all, but this just happened to be this Christian church that he took me to, and the girl that came up to collect the offering, I'm just going to say, she had an amazing body. She had a skin-tight dress where you could see her boobs and her booty popping out. I'm just saying that if you're there and you're struggling with lusting after women, maybe the pastor shouldn't put her up there looking something like that.
So that happens in Santeria.
That's where I was going.
I see people where they have like little tops, booty shorts, and I'm like, what are you, with a bunch of collares on? In our religion, you have to dress modestly when you're doing religious things. If you want to go and be a thought on your free time, go ahead on, girl. But if you come to my home to do religion, you're wearing a skirt that goes past your knees. You're wearing a shirt that has sleeves. You're covered up. The focus is not on you. The focus is on religion.
Right.
And you're human. It's like if a buff guy came in with no shirt, I'm going to look and be like, oh my God. But the focus is on religion.
Right.
So you have to be modest. You have to take religion seriously. I have a lot of godchildren of every body type, and all of them have to come covered to my house. It's not a skinny thing, a fat thing, a this thing. You all have to come because in my home, you have to respect my home.
Yes.
So
let me share with you something, and maybe you can shed a little bit of light on this. Okay. I read the Bible before. Okay. I read the scriptures, and I've read in the Old Testament where a lot of these men like Moses, Jeremiah, Jonah were called to be prophets according to the scriptures, and none of them wanted to be prophets. You know, a lot of them knew that if they get one thing wrong, they'll get stoned. You know, they'll be looked at crazy. They lived a very lonely life, and they didn't want it. What I see today with a lot of the televangelists is that many of them are in line to be prophets because there's profit in it. Okay. So my question to you is this: is there people in Santeria that see the money side of it?
Oh my God. I'm going to be honest with you. I think 70% of the people are in it for money because it's a cash business. You're talking thousands of dollars. Again, I charge for my services.
Yeah.
I have a lot of godchildren who are in the industry. My prices don't change. My price for a reading in 2025 is $65. Whether you are the president of the United States or you're the guy working at the liquor store.
Okay.
It doesn't change because I have to take seriously the vow that I took, which was to help people. I'm not worried about the people I'm reading, to be honest with you. I'm worried about how Orisha sees me. And if Orisha sees that I'm falling from the path that Orisha has for me, then I don't want to suffer the consequence. So it's not, I don't say this to be like, I'm such a good person.
Yes.
That's not it.
Right.
It's that I respect and fear Orisha. So I'm going to act accordingly. But I say 70% of people are full of crap. And I think that being psychic, right? I'm on like a lot of paranormal things. They have me as psychics on shows. I tell them all kinds. You're taking a leap of faith. Because what if I say something and it's completely wrong?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I said 300 things that were right.
Right, yeah.
People are going to remember that one thing that was wrong. So it's a leap of faith, and it's a task that I take very seriously, and I do a lot of ceremonies so that my own astral, my own energy is aligned so that spirit can give me that connection to help you connect. So yeah, it's hard out here for a psychic.
You know, I have a question. Do you know who is the world's greatest 21st century scholar? Do you know who that is?
No.
Google. So what I did, I Googled.
Oh my God, that's funny. I'm like, no, is there scholars anymore? That's the first thing I thought.
I Googled Santeria, so I'm going to read to you what Google told me.
Okay.
So, and some of the stuff you told me were a little, were right on. Santeria is an Afro-Caribbean religion that originated in Cuba and is a combination of Yoruba beliefs, Catholicism, and Spiritism. Okay, origin Santeria developed in the 19th century among the enslaved Yoruba people of Cuba. The Yoruba were ancestors of, I don't know this word, Lukumi faith, and enslaved people were often called Lukumi. Okay, the name Santeria. The word Santeria is Spanish and translated to the way of the saints or devotion to the saints. It comes from the American Spanish word santero, which means practitioner of Santeria. Okay, and then this is the part that I wanted to get to. Santeria practitioners believe in a supreme creator divinity called Olodumare. So, is that God?
Well, Olofi, yeah.
Okay.
So Olodumare encompasses the world and everything that we believe that the creator created. Olodumare.
Okay, and then it says, and in spirits called Orisha, okay, that are associated with Roman Catholic saints. Santeria practitioners use, okay, this is what I wanted to get to, divination ceremonies to interpret the will of the gods, which often include rum, drums, cigars, animal sacrifices. So now, let me back up.
We're a good time.
Okay, where it says, Santeria practitioners use divination ceremonies. What exactly is that?
That's when I read the shells.
Okay.
That's a divination system. It would be like tarot cards or a divination system, something that you use to get your future told.
Right.
Ifa uses a chain, I use shells.
Okay. And it says to interpret the will of the gods.
Correct.
So you guys believe in one supreme God, but right here it says gods. So can you kind of like clarify
so it's
that?
like in church. Like in Catholic Church, there's God. And then there's La Virgen de Guadalupe,
San Martin, El Santo.
San Martin, San Judas, same thing with us. There's Olofi and then there's Orisha.
Now, what about this one? Include rum, drums, cigar, and animal sacrifice. We talked about animal sacrifice. We talked about drums. What's up with the rum and the cigars?
So remember that this comes from an enslaved people, right?
Okay.
So most of the people who came over during the conquest and during all that time, they worked on tobacco farms. Okay. So there is a whole magic behind tobacco, cigarettes, and especially cigars. So our Orishas, we give them as an offering. We'll give them rum. We'll smoke cigars for them. So especially certain Orishas. So that's part of the things that we offer. It's not the whole thing. We can do a lot of things. But that's something that's a staple in our religion.
Okay. What about weed?
Oh, this is a good one. I want to tell you that... So people who've seen me on We Don't Smoke the Same, Ezone's my godson. There cannot be somebody who smokes more weed than Ezone, like literally.
Do you think he cannot smoke Be Real?
I don't know because I've never seen Be Real and him go at it. But every time I go to that podcast, I don't do any drugs. That's not my thing. But I end up with the worst contact high and hungry like crazy. So he told me once we were having a conversation, he was like, hey, they told me that El Egua, which is an Orisha, he likes weed. And I said, okay. Though not the way that you guys think. Weed, before you do all the chemicals, it's a plant.
Yes.
It's found in nature. So there are people who will cut the flower and put it on top of the Orisha.
Okay.
But smoking weed, that does not happen in our religion.
Okay.
For Orisha. You can smoke weed on your free time. That's another thing. When you get a reading with me for 48 hours before the reading, you cannot drink, smoke, have sex, or do drugs. 48 hours at a minimum before you read.
Really?
Before I read you, yes.
Okay, just to ask, why not the sex part?
Because sex is an exchange of energy.
Okay.
You've never hooked up with somebody and been like, I was doing really good, and then I started hooking up with this person, and my life has gone to shit. It's the exchange.
Anybody out there?
It's an exchange of energy. Or sometimes the opposite happens. You end up with a girl, and I'm just going to say a girl. Maybe there's a guy who wasn't doing great and he ends up with a girl and she pulls him up. And you're like, man, ever since he got with this girl, he bought a house. He did this. He did that. It's energy exchange.
No, I know a couple of people that I know that got with the wrong girl and we warned them. There's several of them and their life literally went to shit. when I saw a promising future in them. And when I say I saw, it was obvious. I mean, the writing was on the wall. It wasn't like I was reading anything, but I'm like, this guy's on his way up.
Yeah.
Then when he got with this alley cat looking broad, I was like, oh no. He went downhill.
So that happens in Santeria with who you choose to be your godparents. If I'm going to be with a godparent who does drugs, who is a mess, whose house is a mess, like in the physical term also,
Yes.
and in the spiritual term, how's this person going to help me? I tell people, I may not be the godparent for everybody. That's fine. But I tell them, but be careful who you choose. Because if you go to their house and their life is a mess,
Yeah.
like if they don't have their own finances in order, if they're asking for you to do things for them, if they're on drugs, if they have an alcohol problem,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that alcoholics cannot be godparents.
Yeah.
I'm saying that they should not be godparents until they handle that situation, right? So you have to see who you're choosing. In Santeria, previously, they used to tell you that the godparent you picked was the spoon you were going to eat with for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So choose wisely.
Okay, now here's a freaky question. Okay. And again, I've only seen this in documentaries, and I don't know if this was Santeria, so I'm just going to throw it out there. I've seen people, I don't know if it's voodoo's any different, because I don't know, so I'm asking ignorantly, but I've seen people that have gotten possessed. Do people in Santeria?
Yes. It's a gift, though. Not everybody gets possessed.
Okay, explain that to us.
So there's two parts where you could get possessed. There's one where you could get possessed with spirit, like Egun or ancestors. You could get possessed with a spirit guide. Let's say you have a gypsy. She could take possession of your body spiritually, and then she'll speak and she'll tell people whatever she wants to tell them. You could also get possessed with ancestors. Maybe you have a great-great-great-great-grandfather who wants to come through, and they'll take possession of you and you'll speak. And then there's other people who will get possessed by Orisha. And the Orisha will speak in Yoruba, an African dialect. But that's only certain people, and it's a gift.
Orisha, can you explain to us who that is again?
Orisha are the different saints that we believe in.
Okay, the different saints.
So
Okay.
people can get possessed with that also, but it's a gift. Not everybody gets possessed.
Okay.
And it's a process. And there's things that people do to test you to see if you're possessed. Where if you're not possessed, you will have a physical reaction and it won't be comfortable.
Okay, now think about this. When I say we in general, people that don't know anything about Santeria, when we hear possession, we think exorcist. So it's nothing like that.
No. So if the person is a trained spiritualist, like let's say my mom.
Okay.
My mother no longer has to incorporate spirit to allow herself to be possessed by spirit, for spirit to give her the messages it wants to give her. Has she ever been possessed? Yes. It is not like the exorcism. It's something that starts off very slow. And then when the spirit takes possession, you can tell because there's certain mannerisms that change, the way that her voice is changes, and spirit knows things that my mother wouldn't know.
Right. Okay.
They can drink. My mother's not a drinker. But she has, when she used to, we call it pas muerto. She used to finish a bottle of Bacardi and be fine. Not drunk, not sick, not anything.
Damn.
My godfather who passed away used to get a candle and the wax, the melted wax,
Yeah.
and put it in his eye to show you he was possessed. He would cut his tongue with a machete.
See, I seen that.
He would cut his tongue with a machete. There's a trick to that, though. People do a trick, too.
Oh,
But he
damn.
would cut his tongue with a machete. He would light his arm on fire. He would do all kinds of things when he was in Palomayombe ceremonies. But to be possessed is a process, and it's a gift. And not
Okay.
everybody's getting possessed, and it's not comfortable. The people who really have that gift do not want it to happen because you lose control of your faculties, and it's not comfortable. Who would want to be in that vulnerable of a position? Nobody.
Okay. Have you ever been possessed?
I have, but thankfully, it does not happen anymore
Okay.
as often at all because I don't like it.
Now, okay, let just kind of walk us through it. Let's just say that I'm a santero and I wanted to be possessed. Does it just happen, or do I have to seek it?
No. So like if you're a santero and you're trying to get possessed by Orisha, by saint,
Yes.
you would go to a party with the drums.
Okay.
Our drums are sacred. There's a big drum and two little drums. And they talk to each other. The way that they're played, they're talking to each other. And there's a singer that we pay to sing. And he is singing in an African dialect. And he's trying to do what's called a llamada, calling Orisha to take possession of one of his children. So then that is something that takes time.
Okay. Now, the case with you, did it just happen, or was it something?
I didn't even know it could happen. I'll be honest with you. When I did Saint and they had the party for me, it was all good until it wasn't all good. And I could not tell you what happened because it was like an out-of-body experience. And when I came to, I just remember being like, I never want that to happen again. And then, of course, it happened again. And but I'm so scared in the moment because I'm a witch, but I'm not invincible. So of course I get scared. I'm scared in the moment that I don't allow it to happen fully. Like I start to block myself because I don't want to do that.
You know what? Okay, so you do consider yourself a witch?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because, see, I'm trying to learn because you say Santera, and then I've had other women here that have come.
That are witches, but are like, they probably practice like Wicca or the cult of Diana. So I consider myself a witch because I think witch is an all-encompassing word for somebody who does non-traditional things. And we believe in like the magic of plants and herbs and energy. And so, but really I'm a Santera. But I think the term witch used to be derogative and now it's not. Okay. So if people ask me, what do you do? Well, I guess I'm a witch because I believe in all those things. Okay. See, when I think witch, I think of Halloween hats, broomsticks and candy corn. I do have a cape that one of my godkids bought me, but I don't wear it. When I think witch, I think, like everybody was called a bruja, right? In Mexico, the people who would give you tés to cure empacho or to help you with something medicinal, she was a bruja.
Yeah.
O te limpiaban, she was a bruja.
Yeah.
Or you have a tía que te limpió con un huevo, she's a bruja. So I just think everybody who practices something that's not traditional can be like kind of thrown into that bracket.
Okay. I'm going to bring two things. Say hypothetically you were single, right? And you met a guy that you kind of liked. And you guys went out to islands to go get dinner, whatever. Would you be quick to tell him what you do?
No.
Because you know damn well to scare the hell out of him.
No, that's not why.
Well, tell me why.
That's not why. My husband and I dated for 6 months before I told him I was a Santera. 6 months.
How did he see you after you told him?
You want to know something? My husband used to tell me he was atheist. Okay. But I don't believe him. He was a lazy Catholic. Because atheist people, they have a Bible. They go to meetings. If you're really atheist, you go to meetings. You have an atheist Bible. Yeah. It takes work. He was just a lazy Catholic. I didn't tell him because I think that that's something very personal in my life. Okay. And I'm very religious in the sense where I really respect my religion. And I didn't know if we were just like hanging out, like, are you going to go away? I don't need to tell you my life. Right. But after 6 months and we started getting more serious, I was like, I need to tell you something. 2 things. I'm a Santera. And he was like, what is that? He's from Michoacan. His family's all Catholic. And I was like, well, we kill animals. And he was like, what the hell? I was like, well, I want to tell you this because you have an opportunity for us not to date anymore. Because I believe so much in my religion that whoever I'm supposed to be with is going to come and they're going to accept me. Okay. They don't have to be my religion. He's not in my religion. Okay. But they have to respect me. So that's one part I told him. And I have godchildren. So you're going to see him come in and out of the house. I said, and the other part is, if you were to think about marrying me, I have to ask my Orisha if I can marry you. And if my Orisha says no, then we cannot get married. Because I have to ask my saint that has guided me all my life, and if this is going to be prosperous for us, for our happiness, for our health. And if Orisha says no, then I have to say no. Wow.
Okay. Hopefully, I want you to remind me of Tina Marie after this story, because I have a story about Tina Marie. The singer.
Not everyone does that, though, okay? Not everybody asks Orisha if they can be married. Not everyone does that. I was going off of my life reading from when I did Saint, and they told me when you're ready to get married, you need to remember to ask. And that's why I did it.
Okay. God, I forgot my first question, so I'll go ahead and tell you that. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, here it is. I'm one of 10 kids. My younger sister at one point got very, very sick. She was, I don't know, maybe 3 years old, okay? My youngest sister. And my dad got really, really angry at my mom because when my third brother was born, he passed away at 1 year old.
Okay.
And he never recovered. My dad
bless you.
Psychologically never recovered. That's when he began drinking.
Okay.
So when he saw that my younger sister
was
very sick,
a trauma clicked.
Yes. And I remember he threatened my mother.
Uh-huh.
And he pretty much told her, anything happens to her, I'm going to take it out on you.
Okay.
Now, I'm just a kid, and I heard this. I remember my mother invited a woman over, and maybe this may click. I don't know what it was. And my mom used to be a very devoted Catholic. So they got a little bowl, and of course, they put the egg in there. He took a little stick from the broom. They break it up, and they surround it around the egg yolk, and then he put it under her bed. I never knew what that was and what was supposed to do, what was supposed to cause, or what they thought was happening to my sister. Can you shed any light on that?
They were trying to get rid of whatever was affecting her. So it sounds like what they were trying to do was attract whatever negative energy into the bowl with the egg, so it would pick up whatever was happening with her.
Okay.
So it's just a variation of an egg cleanse. It's not a Santero thing, but it's a spiritualist thing. So it's a variation of an egg cleanse. So depending on how the egg looked the next day, maybe it got hard, maybe it cooked a little, how the sticks were placed. They probably threw it out the next morning because it's picking up all the negative energy that was around your sister. Because there's a lot of times that kids will pick up things, even adults, that they call it mal ojo, right?
Yes, I've heard that. Can you explain what that is?
Mal ojo is when somebody looks at you. It goes two ways. One, people can be envious of you and they'll focus on you, and they will focus on you so hard that they cause you to have negative energy. The other thing that happens with kids a lot is, let's say my son wore glasses since he was very little. So he was like 3 wearing glasses. Yeah. And people would always stop me and be like, oh, he's so cute with his little glasses. And when they would stop me, I'd be like, touch his hand, please, because you're going to give him ojo. You're focusing on him so hard. That want to touch him, just touch his hand, because
oh, okay.
So that happens to it can happen to everybody. That's why, like at my shop, I sell a lot of like evil eye jewelry. Like I'm always wearing a lot of jewelry, so people can focus themselves on something that's not me.
Wow. Okay. Let me give you my Tina Marie story. Then I'm going to ask you one last question. But let me give this poll that we took. Okay, does Santeria scare you? 25 minutes ago, 136 votes. 21% said yes, it does. 54% no, it doesn't.
Oh, that's good.
12% said kind of. And 12% said I'm currently under my bed right now.
That's funny. The under the bed people are the best.
Okay, so now here's my Tina Marie story. First and foremost, I want to thank my good friend Violet Brown for connecting me with Tina Marie. I was working with this rapper that I regretted ever working with, by the way, and if he's watching, that's on you, homie. So I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to stoop that low, and I'm not going to give him any clout. I was producing his whole record, 1997.
I'm so interested in this name. You have to tell me later.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
So what happened was, and this song was supposed to be big. We were being looked at by major labels, and we were being managed by 2 bigwigs in the industry, Jerry Heller and Violet Brown. And I called up my friend Violet, and I said, I need you to listen to this song. Tell me what you think. And she said, I can get Tina on this track. That's what she said. Keep in mind, I don't know who Tina is. I know who Tina Marie is, but she didn't say Tina Marie on the phone. She just said Tina. And I was like, okay, so you think she'll tear it up? Yeah, you know Tina can sing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Which Tina, right?
Thank you. So Tina calls me. I'm going to give her your number. She's going to call you. I said, okay. So she calls me. I'm on the phone with her. Who's this artist? I tell her. And she says this, okay, when are you going to be at the studio? I want to listen to this track, this beat. We can anytime. Okay, well, let's meet this time. I'll show with Violet. Violet shows her. And Violet comes up. Tina's with her. So I looked at Violet and I said, hey, is Tina coming? I didn't recognize her. She was.
Okay.
And it was the first time that I had ever seen Tina in person. And she goes, well, Tina's right here. And I was like, Tina. And I go, wait a minute. And I go, Tina Marie? She had brought her. Uh-huh. shook her hand, met the artist. They were probably there maybe 10 minutes. They heard the beat. Tina pulls me aside. This is Tina Marie. She tells me, look, I'm going to be real with you. I'm not really feeling that guy, but I'm going to pray. This is what she said. I'm going to pray to Minnie Rippleton because we were redoing OD is all I'm going to say. And the artist was Minnie Rippleton, that the beat that I had remade. Uh-huh. And but I knew that Minnie Rippleton had already been deceased. Uh-huh. But she said, I'm going to go in my prayer closet and I'm going to pray and see if Minnie would allow me to redo her lyrics on this song. So I said, okay, cool, no problem. I'm thinking, I don't know what that is. So she calls me the next day and she said, look, I talked to Minnie, and I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean?
How are you talking to Minnie?
Yes. Yeah. Talk to Minnie, and she really likes you. This is the first time that she's ever said, well, that I ever heard the word energy. Uh-huh. She likes your energy, but she does not like him.
Wow.
So just keep in mind that I'm doing this for you. He never knew this story. Wow. He never did. And I just said, okay, thank you. It's going to be this much, and that's it. I said, okay, no problem. So, and then after she sang the song, I asked her, I said, if you don't mind me asking, how did you talk to Minnie? And she said, well, I'm a very spiritual person. I pray a lot, but Minnie was my good friend, and I actually adopted her daughter when she passed away.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. She goes, yeah, so she likes you, and she says, yeah, that I can do this for you.
Wow.
So do you think that's possible? Can
Yes.
people talk to people that are deceased?
Yes, I do it all the time. We have things in my home called misas espirituales, which is like a seance. Your table looks like a seance table, by the way, because it also looks like a poker table. They're very similar. So
I'll tell you the story about it after.
Okay, this looks like a seance table. So a misa espiritual has to do with, I use what's called a bóveda espiritual, which is like an altar. You know, like when your grandma used to put vasos de agua a la Virgen.
Yes.
Okay, I have something graduated from that. So I have an altar with many cups of water and pictures of my ancestors who've passed away, and it's called a bóveda. And then people come to my home because they want to connect with spirit, and they will attend what's called a misa espiritual, and my spirit guides and my mother's spirit guides will then allow us to tell you things about your spirit guides. And those are called misas espirituales. So I talk to dead people all the time.
Now, okay, I have to ask this before we take some phone calls. Have you ever had anybody say anything mean or evil or crazy to you that maybe you didn't want to hear? Has anything about this whole Santeria ever scared you?
Scared me, yes. I think that when I was younger, the things with Palo Mayombe would scare me because my godfather had all the things in Cuba, right? I would go to Cuba for this. And he had a finca, I don't know how to say finca, like a farm.
Okay.
And there was a cave, and you would walk up, and in the cave were all these, what we call prendas, things, objects that we use to connect to spirit. But there was no light in there. There was a lot of bats. There was a lot of stuff in there that I did not want to hang out with when I was 20, 21, and 19.
Right.
And remember that I post pictures of my godfather on my page. My godfather was darker than your shirt. Literally, you could only see his eyes. My godfather was like 6'3", black. At the time that my mother and I went to Cuba and we started being part of his home religiously, my mother is blonde with green eyes, and I'm me. Yeah. We were the only two very light-skinned people in that room.
Really?
Yes. That's why I think it's so crazy to me when people on both ends will be like, oh, this is an Afro-Cuban religion and you shouldn't be in it because you're not Afro-Cuban. You're ignorant, because this religion is for everybody who wants to respect it and learns it. And if you see color lines, then that's your first problem.
Yeah.
Because I have godchildren who are Afro-American who speak no Spanish, who go with me to Cuba and trust me as their elder, and I always lead them in the best way I possibly can. And I don't see color. I see your intention and your heart and what you're bringing in that way. Yeah. And that's what my godfather taught me, because he was very black and I was very white, and I still am. So I think that it was very offsetting for me to be in this country where I didn't know anybody. And that was scary to me, right?
Right.
But as far as spirit telling me things, I feel I'm an empath, so I feel things deeply sometimes. And I've had to tell people, like, get ready because you're going to have a loss in your family. And those things, they don't scare me, but they make me sad because I don't want to tell these people these things that I know is going to bring them sadness. Yeah. And I would struggle with that a lot. And then my mother told me one day, if spirit's telling you to give them the message, it's so they can organize themselves, because maybe they're not organized or ready for this passing, but maybe you're telling them and they're going to start getting organized and the hit's not going to be as hard. Right. Because we live in the world. So we have to organize ourselves worldly wise as well. Right. So, but scared, I see a lot of stuff. Like, I go on a lot of paranormal things and there'll be ghosts, and I'm not scared of the dead. I'm scared of the living. The living does some weird shit. The dead is cool. The living are weird, but I would rather hang out. Like, I go into my room with a prenda and in the middle of the night and I talk to them, or, you know, it doesn't scare me like that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question before we go ahead and take calls. My question to you is there anything that I didn't ask you to clarify Santeria? And maybe something you want to elaborate a little bit more? So
I think that two things. One, I think that it's really important to understand there's no variations of ceremony. There's only one way to do ceremonies.
Okay.
And if people are telling you that this is the way that they do it, 9 times out of 10, they don't know how to do it. So to avoid fraud and to avoid people taking advantage of you, you need to ask people very important questions. Where are your godparents?
Oh, okay.
Who did your saint? You're a santero. That means you've had the full saint done. Who did it? If you see these people are not with their godparents, have no elders, have nobody teaching them, that's a red flag. And be careful of things like that. And then the other thing, I also feel like there's a belief that bóvedas and misas and connecting to ancestor is a Santeria practice. It is not. It's a spiritual practice. You don't have to be a santero to connect to your ancestors. Like, I'm doing a class in Torrance in January just on that topic, because I would get so many people who would be like, oh, I want to connect with my loved ones who've passed away, but I don't want to be in Santeria. But you don't have to. That's a spiritualist practice that you can do without being in Santeria. So those are things that I think are really important to point out.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and, JEDI, I'm going to go ahead and connect and let me know when I'm connected, and we're going to take some phone calls. I am going to ask respectfully, guys, don't call in and trying to rebuke the devil and saying, Tony, what is he doing there? You guys asked. I made it happen. Is there anything you guys want to share or ask? Let's do it now, okay? So if not, we're just going to continue this conversation. But, yeah, we'll put on the headphones. As soon as somebody calls, let me see. Here we go. I believe that's Caesar from Paris. Call back. There we go. There we go. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Tony Ashe, Caesar from Paris.
What's good, my brother? How you doing? You got a question? I hope you're enjoying the show.
Yes. This is a great show. First of all, good evening to the Miss. Great podcast. First of all, thank you for giving and setting the record straight on a lot of facts and myths on your practices. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And I do have, you're welcome. You're welcome, Miss. I do have a couple of 3 questions. And first of all, when I ask these questions, I want to make it clear that if I ask it, please, and if I don't mean no disrespect at all, consider it more like ignorance. But I'm going to try to word it and ask you as respectful as possible now. Okay. You were talking about you could make even people have miscarriages or crashing their cars. Now, that was something that was specifically taught to you, and if it was, why would that be necessary to be taught?
So we have what's called obras. We have things that are taught to us how to do, because my religion is an oral tradition, so there's very few books, but there's magic for everything. It's not that it was like my godfather was like, this is how to make somebody crash. No, it's just that there is the possibility of doing those things, and there is for lack of a better word, spells for everything.
Okay. Now, it kind of ties into another question. Briefly, you said you came back from a strong Catholic background with Virgin, influences and whatnot. What you believe in now, did that have something that maybe whatever you had doubted in your Catholic following that maybe shed it alight, or did your new religion have nothing to do with Catholicism? Like it didn't how to say, it wasn't it didn't have any resemblance at all?
I mean, as far as like, I don't come from a strong Catholic background. I did a lot of things out of tradition and respect. Like, we get baptized because we're Mexican and things like that. But as far as like, there's the Virgen de Guadalupe, I'm very big on honoring my ancestors. And because I have a great grandmother who really believed in that, I have a Virgen in my home. And I think that all of those things have an energy attached to them. So I respect it in that way. But I don't think that Santeria has anything to do with Catholicism.
Okay. So does Santeria come from, how old is it? Does it come like, does the Santeria have their own Bible? Is it ancient like that? Or how far back are we talking?
Historically, Santeria came around 4,000 years before Christ. There's actual history books that show the Yoruba tribes were here already 4,000 years before Christ. And if you look at Africa, there's places called like Ile Chango, Ile Ochun. They have all to do with the Orishas when they walk the earth. So our religion is actually older than Christ. We don't have a Bible. We use the same Bible as everyone else. If you were to come to me and they said, read the Bible, it's something you have to do that's going to help you, it would be the regular Catholic Bible.
Wow. That's it. You exceeded my expectation, Miss Thanya. I love it. Okay, on the side note, thank you very much. Everybody out there, have a happy new year. Love yourself. Love your family. Caesar from Paris. And I'm out.
Good. Thank you, Caesar from Paris. Okay, here we go. We got another phone call. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is George from Wilmington.
George from Wilmington. You're not that far. What's good, my bro? How you doing? What's your question?
Salam alaikum.
Malaikum salam.
I wanted to ask because I know in that's right, Ashe. I know in the Santeria they said that when the gods first came to the earth was covered in water, and so they cast a spell on the god of the ocean and chained him to the bottom of the ocean, and so the water went down and the land arose. Are you aware of that story?
So you're talking about the story about where a locum was changed to the bottom and he's a hermaphrodite, but it's not because the world was covered in water. It has to do with the diluvio, like in the Bible when they were flooding. So there's a lot of variations of that story because that story is a proverb for one of the Delogun signs, but I am aware of that story because there's also a story about why the sand removes itself from the fango. So you're going to find that story in a bunch of different letras and it's said in a bunch of different ways. But are you interested?
Wait, tell me the one you just talked about, please. Could you enlighten me on that one? You said about sand?
So there's a story about, do you know what, I don't know what the English word is for it, but fango, you know what fango is? No?
No, not quite.
Fango is like, when you go to a lake and it has that stuff on top that looks like algae? Like that green stuff that goes on top. So there's a story about where the sand had to divide itself from that part of the lake also. So it comes the division between the sand and the lake. The story you're telling has to do with Olokun at the bottom of the ocean. But it's not because the world was covered in water. It's because that's a path of Yemaya where that particular path made a pact with Oya because Oya used to live in the ocean and Yemaya lived in the cemetery and they swapped. But those things come up in different proverbs of Santeria.
Oh, that's nice. okay, to switch the subject, and I appreciate that. And I know a lot of people, they've never heard stories like this in their life. I know in Haiti they're attacking, I don't want to say pagans, but polytheists. And I was wondering if your community or Cubanos or anybody was worried about being attacked also for their beliefs.
So I'm Mexican, but I go to Cuba like 6 times a year. I've been going there since 1999. In Cuba, Santeria is very like open and practiced. And because Cuba's beautiful, but it's horrible the way the government treats their people. So Santeria has become one of the few things that allows them to make money. So there's like a saying in Cuba, you're either coming for the rum, the hookers, or religion. That's all people go for. So Santeria is considered just another way for people to get out of the hole that the government digs them in a lot of the times.
Damn. Shit, the rum, the hookers.
I appreciate.
Wow.
And the religion.
Wow. All good, caller. Thank you, man.
Yeah, I know people, they went to Cuba and slept at the cemetery for 9 days for their religious ceremony. Could I ask one more question, or should I leave it?
Go for it. Go ahead, bro. You got about 2 more minutes.
Oh, no. She could spit about the cemetery ceremony. I'd rather hear her talk.
I want to tell you something about the cemetery. So there's a thing called arara, where you do have to spend time in the cemetery, and there's different gods that live in the cemetery. Yewa or Ya. But anybody who tells you they spent 9 nights at the cemetery, 1, either got bamboozled, or 2 is lying, because there's no way to do that. I've been going to Cuba a long time, and you do ceremonies in the cemetery, but there's never where you have to stay all that time. I don't know why people like to add like a lot of like spice to the taco, but there are people who they do ceremonies and they do them wrong, and they, for dramatic effect, take them to the cemetery.
It's more like a Hollywood story.
Yeah,
sounds
right.
better.
Like I'm 9 days here. No, because in Cuba there's outages of light. The light goes off for like 5 or 6 hours. There's no water. It's communist. You can't go to the bathroom everywhere. There's no McDonald's, no 7-Eleven. How are these people staying in the cemetery?
Yeah.
All good. Thanks, Tony.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Peace.
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah, happy Halloween, my bro. And Merry Cheese, But thank you. You know what? 2 great phone calls. Let's keep them going. By the way, I joke around a lot.
That's funny.
So, but he said Assalamu alaikum. Isn't that like a Muslim thing?
No, he said Malaikum Salah. Salam alaikum. Malaikum Salah. Assalamu alaikum is what you're thinking.
Yes. I almost said, okay, I'm not going to say it. Okay.
You're going to offer him a bean pie and tell him.
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Jay, South Texas.
Jay from South Texas. Bro, we missed you, bro. How you been? You haven't called in a minute.
What's up, man? Hey, I've been working, man, trucking it up. Yes, I was.
All good, my bro. You have a question for Thanya?
Yeah, I got a question. Miss Thanya, is it true that for a bruja to have like a real dawn, right? To have a dawn, that is it true that her grandmothers, right, on both sides have to be passed when she's born, when the bruja is born, or the person, right, that becomes a bruja. But to have the dawn, does her grandmothers have to be passed when she's born?
No, my grandmothers were both alive when I was born. But I think what you heard was that magic comes from the females in your family, because magic, even in like the Wiccans and Cult of Diana, they believe that the women in your family carry the magic. So it's handed down through the women in your family. But your family members don't have to be deceased for you to have a gift of being like a psychic or a medium. No.
Oh, okay. No, I actually heard that, what I asked, from a santera herself, right? A lady that I know from Mexico also. But I go have conversations with her every now and then, and you know that's something that she had told me, that to have the real dawn, that the grandmothers would have to be passed. And then me personally, I'm a devoto de la Santa Muerte, right? So I kind of know some things about your religion as well. But something that I hear santeros talk about is
you guys pray to your ancestors, correct? Or communicate with your ancestors.
We communicate with them.
Oh, you communicate, okay. And it might sound like a stupid question, but it's actually a genuine one. Is that your ancestors from like your Mexicano ancestors or the ancestors from like your religion?
So ancestors, like communicating with ancestors can be of your blood lineage, you know, like people who died in your family even 100 years back. Or they can be Egun, which is the spirits that were assigned to you by God when you were born to help you in this life that you're living now. So you could do both, but we don't pray to them. Like I know about Santa Muerte too, because I have godchildren who were Santa Muerte devotees. And we don't pray to them in the sense where we like kneel and pray to Egun. That's not what we do. We offer them prayers so that they have light, but we don't, like, let's say my great grandma. I'm not going to pray to her like she's God. There's one God and I pray to God. But we do communicate with them. And it can be both. It can be the people who were related to you or the people who were assigned to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. When I pray, I didn't mean like actually, you know, do like a rosario, but more like you said, communicate with them. And that's just something that came to mind because I'm thinking, okay, well, if your ancestors are Mexicanos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't practice Santeria or your religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they have their own religion,
mm-hmm.
then how would your religion help you to connect with them? You know?
Yeah, well, Santeria is not what has me giving reverence to my ancestors. My ancestors are part of a spiritualist practice, which is why I was saying that it's important for us to understand that because I'm a Santera, it does not mean that I have to be a spiritualist, or because I'm a spiritualist, I have to be a Santera. You can choose just to give reverence to the people who are guiding you spiritually without having anything to do with Santeria. Because I have people who are in my home whose uncle was a priest and he died, and the people are santeros, and they have to go pay for masses in Catholic churches for these spirits because we're always going to honor the traditions of our ancestors. It doesn't take anything away from me being a santera, and they don't necessarily have to be one and the same. I don't have to be both things. You can just want to be a spiritualist. You can just want to have a bóveda.
Right. No, that was just some observations that I made there. Because like I said, I have heard Santeros talk about the ancestors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, last thing. So do you like bajar muertos and all of that?
So in my home, we have the ability to bajar muerto. Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
It's when you get possessed by a spirit and the spirit talks through you.
Okay.
But in our home, in our spiritualist practice, we're shown how to educate spirit so that that's not necessary.
Okay.
Because Egun spirit can talk to you without taking possession of you.
Okay.
It takes a long time to learn that, but it is possible. But yeah, in our home, you know, we're what's called montadoras, which means the spirit can possess us.
Okay.
Nice. All right, no, that's it. I'll let somebody else call in, but that's all I had. Like I said, me personally soy de voto de la Santa Muerte, Santísima Muerte, but your religion is very interesting as well.
All good. Thank you, my bro, Dre from South Texas.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace. Buenas noches. Okay, you guys, we got about 15 minutes. Let's try to get at least about 3 to 4 phone calls in. Let's go. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Yo, Tony. Hello, Ashe. This is Jose from Yuma, Arizona.
Jose from Yuma, Arizona. How you doing tonight?
Fan. Good, man. I'm freaking happy that you have a chance on the show.
Yeah.
Big fan, Ashe. I follow you on Instagram.
Oh, thank
We don't smoke
you.
the same.
Oh, okay.
And Brujo 101.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Big fan.
All good, my brother.
So right here in Yuma, we have a Santero Padrino, right? He practices Palo Mayombe, 21 Divisiones, or something like that.
21 divisiones.
Yeah. I've been going to on and off for a few years. Let's say for about 5 years. seeing them. And his solution has always been, rayamiento. Is that a good thing, or is there a solution, or is that something that, because I've been to the misas where they do like the rayamiento for like the misas and stuff like that, misas espirituales. I've seen him montar a varón.
I want to tell you that it sounds like he's mixing 21 divisions with Palo Mayombe, and they're very different things. Those are very different things. DM me, because I don't like to talk about certain things, but you can DM me.
Because, I love the religion. And I want to look more into the rayamiento, because he's always been trying to rayarme for 3,500. I want to get a lectura by you, too.
So I want to tell you, with rayamiento, there's things that have to be done before you can go into rayamiento.
You have to ask and stuff like that, right?
Not only do you have to ask, so that's one thing, right? But you personally have to have a misa de investigación. Right. You have to have a reading by a santero, not a palero, a santero, like a santera like me, to see if that's your path.
Yes.
And then you have to ask, because there's a bunch of different ways to get rayados. And that price is within the range of what it costs, what I've heard. If you DM me, I'll talk to you more about it.
Yeah.
But rayamiento should not be the cure-all for everything. You're going off and on for 5 years, right? So you should have seen a change where things go positive for you. And if your spirit is telling you that something's off, 9 times out of 10, something's off. So listen to yourself, try a reading with me, see what comes up for you, see if it resonates, and then go from there. That's my advice to you.
All good.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Make sure you DM her, bro. Yeah, make sure you DM her.
This has been an awesome show. Big fan of both of you guys, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Let's go. Let's try to get at least about 2 to 3 more phone calls. Okay, we try to keep them under 5 minutes. So I'm not trying to be a bully with the time, but I just want to be mindful of every caller. Caller your name and where are you calling from?
Tony, looks like I'm the only girl calling in today, but I was calling because I wanted to see her point of view about if she preaches with the Santa Muerte.
What do I think about the Santa Muerte?
Yes, if you've had people come in who believe in her and pretty much involve the Santa Muerte, with the readings or whatever.
So I'm not a Santa Muerte practitioner. I do have godchildren who used to practice Santa Muerte before they came to me and then chose to go to Santeria. The Santa Muerte is a cult that is very mystical, and if you don't have an elder showing you, I see a lot of people who say they practice Santa Muerte, but they don't have a madrina, padrino showing them. I have a goddaughter who's very involved in the Santa Muerte. She has, different Santa Muertes for different things, and I think that you need to find somebody who, if that's the way you want to go, you need to find somebody who's well versed in that. I'm a santera. I have had people come to me who already have Santa Muerte things, they're devoted, they have big tattoos on their backs, they have all these things, but they really didn't know how to use the Santa Muerte. So the Santa Muerte was not giving them the result that they wanted.
So my question, sorry to interrupt, do you think it's similar or almost as a religion as yours?
No, we're very different. The only similarity is that it's both spiritual. They're both spiritual things, but I want to tell you that, let's say that you like the Santa Muerte and you go to a santera and they tell you, throw away your Santa Muerte. Let's say you have an imagen, right? Well, that's wrong. I never tell people to throw things away because that Santa Muerte at one point helped you. And the Santa Muerte is a very jealous deity. So you have to have a lot of respect for the Santa Muerte. It's not similar. We are a more developed religion because the Santa Muerte is a new thing. It came about in Mexico City, which, by the way, is where I'm from. So it was created by a woman in Mexico City. It's a very new religious practice. So my religion is older. So, of course, there's more depth to it. And we do things differently.
All good.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry if I sound muffled. I'm really sick. But thank you.
It's all good. Better. Thank you. Happy New Year. I guess Santa Muerte just goes deeper than just buying a Santa Muerte at the swap meet, right?
Which a lot of people will come to me and tell me, I'm a Santa Muerte devotee. And I'm like, okay, who's your elder?
No, I just got the statue.
I don't have one. I bought the statue. I got a tattoo. I wear a Santa Muerte gold thing around my neck. I mean, I wear a cross around my neck. I'm not a church. You can't. Those things are very mystical.
Yes. Give me 1 second. Caller, your name and where are you calling from?
Rick, Stockton.
Rick from Stockton. How you doing tonight? You got a question?
Yes, a question. So, her practice, like, would that be considered like brujeria? Like they use it in Mexico. They don't have it like sections. They just say brujeria. Is that similar to what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the sense where we do limpias and things like that. Yeah, you could consider it brujeria.
Okay, well, I got a freaky story real quick. So during the COVID time, I had a cousin that was dying, and he didn't believe in God. No, he believed in God, but he wasn't religious. I'm not trying to make it quick. And when he was dying, he was already like in the hospital and everything. He kept praying to God, and the doctors just kept saying, "You're getting worse." So one of his friends said, "Hey, I know a brujo that can cure you." And he's like, "I don't believe in that." So the brujo pretty much cured him, and he got out of the hospital. But then a few months later, he was killed in a car accident. So I talked to people about that story. My mom said he left the trust of God. If he would have had the faith in God, God could have probably healed him or accepted the fact that God wanted to take him. But since he didn't do that, he leaned his trust on a brujo, which is not of God. And everything has interest. These people work, and I'm not disrespecting your beliefs or nothing, because I'm a sinner myself. I carry my own sins for me to judge anybody or say you're gonna go to a worse place and I'm gonna go to a better place. I've probably done worse things than you, so I'm not judging you. But my mom said that if he would have probably stayed with the faith of God and accepted that God was gonna take him or cure him, he would have been good. But since he trusted a brujo, the brujo cured him, but then he died a few months later. You know what I'm saying? And I could kind of see that because it's kind of like give and take. I believe everything has some type of interest, even the churches. I'm religious, but I'm not into I go with the Catholics, but I understand the fact that there's an interest in everything. They want money. Same thing with the brujos. They want money. Everything has some type of interest. And then not only that, religions, Catholics, Jehovah's, Christians, priests, they're all human like us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a bad in everything. There's bad cops, there's bad teachers, there's bad priests. So I don't believe in the people. I believe what they say. Mm-hmm. But that was my question. What do you think about that? Do you believe that that's true with the cousin that I had, that he leaned his belief on the brujo? And the brujo is a human like me and you. He's nothing. We're nothing. We're going to disappear. We're going to be forgotten within a few years, and then the world continues. And at the end, the judgment is when we face God.
So,
what do you think?
So you're asking me what I think?
Mm-hmm.
So what I think
so
is...
you think he could have been...
So what I think is, in my religious belief, I don't think that I'm like anybody else because I have ceremonies that elevate me and it's different, right? That's my religious belief. But I think that everybody's born on the day you're supposed to be born and you die on the day you're supposed to die. Can I do things to help you medically with different things? Yes. But if it's your time to go, you cannot avoid the time that Olofi, God, has destined you to have. That's never going to change. We're born on the day we're supposed to be born. We pick our parents, whether they're shitty, good, in the middle, whatever. We pick them because we're learning a life lesson. And the day that we're supposed to exit the earth, we exit the earth. So I don't think that happened to him like as retribution because he sought help because he was scared of dying, because it sounds like that's what happened. He was scared.
Right.
I think that it was just his time to go.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your your question, caller.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask something else, but I'll let somebody else go.
Yes, thank you, Mo. I appreciate it. We're coming to the 5-minute mark. I'm trying to keep everybody under 5 minutes. We got one more phone call and then we're done.
All right.
Thank you. Jedi, do you have a question up there already? Okay. I wanted you to ask one more, but can you take that down? Do we have enough? the reason why I want you to ask the people if they're enjoying the show and would you like to see her back. Okay? Hear me? Okay, here we go. Caller, your name and where you calling from. You're our last caller. Caller. Okay, I don't. Caller. Hello.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Your name and where you calling from?
Antonio from Houston, Texas.
Antonio from Houston, Texas. How you doing tonight?
Good, good. How about you?
I'm doing good, my bro. You know what? You're the last caller, bro, so let's make it a good one.
Yes, sir. All right. 2 questions. One quick one. What is it, good or bad when people use the Santa Muerte for money-wise?
I'm not a Santa Muerte practitioner, so I couldn't tell you if it's good or bad because I don't practice that faith. So money-wise, like they're selling Santa Muertes to everybody, I mean, that doesn't sound good. But I don't practice Santa Muerte. I practice Santeria.
Okay. All right. Second question. My girlfriend has items from her past, right? And I want to know if that's good keeping them. Because the items is from someone who passed away, right? Unfortunately, it was an infant. He drowned. And she's noticed things going around the house, toys going off, things like that. Is that good or bad?
What items does she keep?
Toys mainly.
Toys mainly.
Oh, toys mainly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, with things like that, I think that as far as like things being haunted, it's not the toys that are doing the haunting. It's the experience that she had with that person passing that is haunting her. It could be both spiritually and it could also be mentally, right? So it just depends. It just depends. If you feel like there's a very easy way for you to figure out if something's in your house, like a spirit wise, you're going to get a glass of water, but it has to be like a clear glass, like a glass with nothing on it, just clear. You're going to fill it with cold tap water from your sink. You're going to get a candle, a tea light will do. You're going to leave it overnight and you're going to see if the next morning, if that glass of water has developed like little bubbles, like air bubbles everywhere, because water is a conductor for energy. So if you see that and there's a bunch of bubbles, it looks like 7-Up, let's say, there's definitely some kind of energy in your home.
Okay.
That would be step 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good,
yes,
my brother.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's end that. See, but what I would do, I'll play a trick and just put 7-Up overnight in somebody's cup.
No.
I'm just playing. I like to joke around.
I'm like, don't do that.
Okay, let me see. See. Come on, where is that? I want to log off. Here we go. I'm going to log off. Okay, we can take these headphones off now. Let me go ahead and read some of these polls that the Jedi sent me. Let's see. Okay. What was the one? Are you willing to get a reading with Santeria? Is that the one? Are you willing to get a reading of Santeria? 19% said yes, I want one. 63% said no, I do not want one. 19% said maybe I might consider. Okay, this last one, I think
people don't like to get readings because they don't like 2 things. They don't like their past to be brought up, and they don't like to either know the future. It's always those 2 things. They don't want to hear about things they did in the past, or they don't want to know about the future. It's a fear.
Is it because, like, how would you say, if you bring up their past, has anybody ever, like, and you saw their past, has anybody ever tried to say, no, it's not true?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah. So then I got to get specific.
So what is it, again, not saying any names, like, what is something that you would have seen somebody's past that they would deny?
Killing somebody.
Good enough. Damn. All right. Are you more informed about Santeria? Yes, I learned more tonight, 57%. No, I knew already, 28%. I want to know more, 14%. Okay, so that was cool. But damn, but the gay one tripped me out.
I think that there's things that happen to all of us, right? There's things that happen to all of us as children. There's things that happen to all of us as adults that shape the way that we see things. And there are things that even though we had no control over, bring us shame. So I think that when you go to something spiritual, you don't want certain things to be brought up. You know, you don't want them to bring up that your dad was a drunk and hit your mom. I already lived that life. I don't want to relive it every time I sit down. Or you don't want to bring up that maybe I had a drug habit. Or you don't want to bring, there's things that we don't want to talk about, right?
Right.
But when people read you and they bring up these things in your past, it's because Spirit's trying to connect. So it's not to shame you. It's so that you can tell me, you know what? Yeah, you know what? My dad used to do that.
Right.
Okay, we're on the right path. Now let's work on what's the next thing we need to talk about. Well, the next thing we need to talk about is how to make your life more abundant. I have to make sure that I'm talking to you specifically. It's not a thing of me wanting to shame you or make you feel bad.
Right.
That's not what I'm here for.
Okay. Now, have you ever read someone that you said, I'm not reading that guy again or that girl again?
Yes.
And what is it about that person? Is it their energy? What is it? If you can kind of give us an example.
So there's...
Because it sounds like you go through a lot.
I read a lot of people. I want to tell you, I'm really blessed. To get a reading with me, you have to book in advance.
Yeah.
I'm already booked up till the 16th of January. I mean, you know, I'm very blessed that way. But there's a very thin line between mental health and magic.
Oh,
so there's a lot of people who don't need magic. They need mental health workers. And I try to express that to them. And if there's people who are stuck in that, I can't help them.
Yeah.
There's also people who come to me with things that I feel I'm not the person for them. Okay. You know, if the only thing you're coming to me for is get my ex-boyfriend, get my ex-girl, like that's not you're stuck on something and you're not able to move.
Right.
I'm not the person for you. So I usually try to be really polite, you know?
Okay.
And then if not, I'll just avoid your phone calls and avoid your DMs for a while. Yeah. And, you know, I just recently had somebody who came to me and wanted to get back together in a situation with somebody, with his ex.
Yeah.
And I was like, that ship has sailed. Like you have to focus on other things because of various things. You're doing things that are kind of almost scaring her by looking for her, you know? And he was like, no, I want to do an amarre. An amarre is something that you do to manipulate energy so that the person you're with wants to be with you. The person you're not with wants to be with you. And I know how to do them. But that's not what he needed.
Yeah.
And I had already said twice, that's not what you need. So then what did I do? I just stopped communication.
Yeah.
It took about 4 months. He recently reached out to me again and he said, I just want to thank you because I realize now that you didn't do that for me because it wasn't what I needed. And I'm in a much better place now mentally and I feel good. And I would like to pursue things for my own spiritual growth. He's like, but I want to thank you. Because first I was like, she's so rude.
Right.
And now I realize there was no telling me no because I was stuck on what I wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, so usually I just avoid people, you know, and I'll be very respectful because I like to be respected. So I'm going to respect people.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who also mix things, right? Like a lot of people think Santa Muerte and Santeria were different.
Right.
Satanic Church and Santeria were different.
Yes.
Palo Mayombe and Santeria were different, which is why now in this year coming up, I'm going to be doing classes.
Okay.
And my first one is in January and it's on my page, which is going to show you how to align yourself with your ancestors. And one of the things that I put on my Eventbrite was, you know, one of the questions, because I let you do drop down questions was, do I have to be a Santera to have an altar like this? And the answer is no. Anybody can connect to spirit. Anybody can connect to your spirituality. I have people who were adopted who don't know their real parents. But through spiritualism, we're able to connect to certain things and it helps them grow.
Yes. Yes. Have you ever had, this might be a funny one, and then after that, we'll do our shout outs. Have you ever had anybody bring someone, whether it was a woman bringing a man or a man bringing a woman and saying, I want you to do her reading because I need you to ask her something for me?
I haven't had that, but I have had people who show up and will bring me their wife. And then they'll be like, I'm going to sit in the room. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Oh, so it's always private.
It's always private. You cannot come as a couple. I read one person. I don't read two people. You want to share your reading with them? That's totally on you. I also don't allow you to record me. So if you come to me and your boyfriend brought you, that's great. But your boyfriend's not going to sit in the reading with me because there's things that maybe I want to tell you that I'm not going to tell you in front of your boyfriend. It's your choice. So I've had men show up with their wives and been like, I'm going to sit in the reading. And I'll be like, no, that's not what I do. And they'll be like, well, then I don't want to do it. Well, then leave. Like, this isn't like, what are we?
Okay. So let me read it. We got 2 super chats. One of them, or 3 now. Okay. Roger J. Cabanas donated $5. Salute to Freaky Tales Podcast and my madrina, Tanya.
My godson.
Okay. Happy holidays.
Hi, my Hado. See you next week.
Okay. 9:40 a.m. I guess 9:40 e.m. I dropped $1.99. What does an amarre consist of? Are they reliable? Amarre?
An amarre is when you are doing something to someone that you want to be with that does not want to be with you. You're manipulating their energy so that they're open to having a relationship with you. That has to do with love. Are they reliable? They work, but you have to be consistent. One amarre is not going to fix it because you're manipulating somebody's energy into doing something it wouldn't naturally do. So you have to be consistent. And I want to be honest with you, amarres are one of the most expensive brujerias that you can get.
Really?
Yeah, because you have to constantly be doing it.
Damn. Okay. Look, I'm going to say this to not just to this person, but just in general. Bro, if she doesn't want you, kick rocks, bro. It's time for you to move on, okay? And I'm going to say it nicely in case that one of these girls that you got to miss was a hood rat. It was never yours. It was just your turn. Move on, okay? So now go ahead and shoot me that because I want to read the other one, but I can't because it has the... Take it off. Okay. We good? There's one more, but I can't see the name. That's why I'm...
Amarres are tricky and they're expensive. And then the problem is you do amarres, the people get the people and can't get rid of them. Then they're like, nah, I didn't want her. She's crazy.
Damn, can you do a reverse amarre?
Yeah, I'm like, the reverse amarre is worse.
Okay, Roberto Hernandez, $25. Pórtese bien. Thank you, Roberto Hernandez. It's been a minute since we heard from you. Much love and respect to all you guys. Damn, amarres. Okay. You know what I find up? No, it's not. I was going to say volare. Volare.
A little different, but yes.
Okay, Freaky Tales, 10 minutes, 73 votes. Are you having a good time? And do you want to see the guest come back? 73% says yes, bring her back. 22%, no, I'm good, Tony. 73, it was 78% said yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a pretty good average.
Yes, absolutely. Thanya, anything else you want to say before we give our shout outs? If not, then just go ahead and give your shout outs.
I just want to let everybody know if you do want to get a reading with me, you can DM me. You guys are going to tag my info. But
go ahead and put her name right there.
I'm on Instagram under Thanya Ashe, and I also have a store called Ashe Imports where we specialize in evil eye jewelry. I'm doing a class that I'm really excited about in Torrance. It's on Eventbrite. It's called Bóveda 101, like my podcast, Brujo 101. And yeah, if you guys also have questions that are just like generalized questions, if you just want me to answer them, I'm very responsive. My goal is to change the narrative on Santeria and how people see Santeros. Yes. So I will always take the time to answer any question that you guys DM me as much as I can. Just sometimes I get a little busier than others, but yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in my site and my store. And I really appreciate my goddaughter for recommending me to be on the podcast. And I appreciate you guys having me.
All good. Thank you very much. Any shout outs or that was it?
Hi, all my God kids who are listening.
All good. Let me go ahead and give shout outs. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody on the live chat, everybody who decided not to be on the live chat, everybody who liked, comment, subscribed, everybody who unsubscribed, everybody who hit dislike. It doesn't matter. You guys are still watching. Much love and respect to you guys. You know what? Have a blessed, happy new year. And I haven't said if I'm going to stop. This might be my last show. I don't know. But you guys may see me again. You guys may not. If not, it's been great. Thank you all. Thank you, Hip Hop Jedi. Thank you, my son, B. Scanless. Thank you, Marvelous Inc. Thank you, Forever Genesis, Dark Secrets. And thank you, Tanya, for being here. And thank you once again, Betty. Much love and respect to you guys. And we'll see what the future holds. Expect the unexpected and have a blessed and happy new year. We are out. To my bro, that she did an amare on him in the past. My brother told her to go get her money back. Happy New Year's, guy. He dropped $4.99. So.
Work.
There you go.